Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into what's arguably the most repeated script in all of human history. Just think about that for a second. We are going to unpack a text that is literally recited by millions of people across the globe every single day without fail. It's a foundational text serving as this direct, intimate conversation between the servant and the creator, and it essentially contains the absolute essence of a massive global faith.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. The global scale, 2. Unpacking the names, 3. Verse-by-verse breakdown, 4. The heart of the surah, 5. The path of guidance, and 6. Modern impact.
All right, Section 1. The global scale. To really wrap our heads around this text, we first need to understand the sheer, mind-boggling magnitude of its daily repetition. Imagine this, whether it's in quiet living rooms, grand mosques, vast empty deserts, or super crowded bustling cities, millions of Muslims are reciting these exact same words, and they're often doing so in complete silence before Allah. You know, this isn't just some empty ritual, it actually forms the absolute foundation of every prayer. It acts as an active, direct conversation. It's just an incredibly powerful, shared human experience.
But here is the craziest part. Despite that massive global scale, the entire chapter consists of just 7 verses. That's it. 7 verses, making up only 29 words and 139 letters in Arabic. It's like a tiny seed that contains an entire forest, because within those 7 short verses, the entire message of Islam is completely summarized.
Moving right along to Section 2, Unpacking the Names.
So this chapter was revealed in Makkah, and its primary name is Surah Al-Fatihah, which literally translates to the opening. It opens the Holy Quran itself, but it also serves as the mandatory opening for Salah, the daily prayer. Effectively, it opens the believer's spiritual connection with Allah. In fact, Islamic tradition holds that absolutely no daily prayer is considered complete without reciting it.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the alternate names reveal totally different, really fascinating dimensions of the chapter. It's called Umm-ul-Kitab, or the mother of the book, because it holds the summary of the entire Quran. It's known as As-Sabul Mathani, the 7 repeated verses honoring its constant repetition. It's also called Ash-Shifa, the cure, because it acts as a kind of spiritual medicine bringing peace. And finally, Alhamd, the praise, simply because praising the Creator is exactly how the whole chapter begins.
All right, Section 3, verse-by-verse breakdown.
Let's look at the first half of the surah, which focuses heavily on the attributes of the divine. The very first verse, known as the Bismillah, reads, "In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the especially merciful." This single sentence teaches believers a really fundamental practice. Begin everything with Allah. Before eating, studying, or traveling, a believer remembers Allah first. And notice how the Creator introduces himself through compassion and mercy here, well before any commands or strict warnings are even mentioned. Then we get to the second verse. All praise belongs to Allah, Lord of all worlds. This teaches immense gratitude. It serves as this constant reminder that absolutely everything a person has, their life, health, family, knowledge, food, protection, the whole shebang, stems directly from this one source. Let's unpack the Arabic word translated as Lord here, which is Rabb. It actually means creator, sustainer, nourisher, and caretaker. And this is a super crucial concept in Islamic theology. Allah is not some distant, detached force who just set the universe in motion and walked away. No, he continuously sustains every single atom of existence. Everything from the slow, massive movement of whole galaxies down to the quick beating of a tiny human heart depends completely on the Creator. Then the third verse repeats, the most merciful, the especially merciful. Now you might be wondering, why repeat mercy right after establishing that kind of ultimate universal power? Well, the source material explains that it's because human beings constantly make mistakes, and without mercy, nobody could survive spiritually. This intentional repetition emphasizes hope. It tells the weak, the hopeless, and the sinner that no matter how broken they feel, divine mercy is always, always greater than human error.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core concept of the theological equilibrium in Islam, which is introduced in verse 4, Master of the Day of Judgment. So, right after boundless mercy comes strict accountability. On one side, we have deep hope in Allah's mercy, and on the other, a healthy fear of Allah's justice. It reminds the reader that one day, kings and ordinary people alike will stand completely equal. So, you've got to live responsibly and ethically.
This brings us to Section 4, the heart of the surah.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that we've reached the exact midpoint of these 7 verses, where the text makes a profound pivot from praising the divine to outlining the human response. Verse 5 represents the central message of Islam: you alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. First, it establishes pure worship directed solely to Allah, not to wealth or power or idols or human desires. But then it immediately pairs out with utter human dependence: you alone we ask for help. It literally strips away all intermediaries and barriers, leaving just the weak human soul speaking directly to the Creator, acknowledging that even the strongest person needs help every single second of the day.
Next up is Section 5, the path of guidance. In the final verses, the text shifts gears into a structured, highly specific daily human request. Verse 6 reads, "Guide us to the straight path." This is framed as one of the single most important prayers in existence. Why? Because guidance isn't just automatic. Even the most devout, lifelong believers must ask for this guidance every single day. Life is universally filled with noise, distractions, and confusion, right? So this verse acts as a daily request for pure clarity and direction.
So the crucial point is, what exactly is this straight path? Well, it basically consists of 4 key steps: truth, faith, balance, and obedience to Allah. Think of it as the practical framework a practitioner uses to navigate a really complicated world without losing their spiritual footing. The final verse defines this path even further by focusing on the company one keeps. Believers asked to follow the righteous examples of prophets and truthful people. But, and this is key, it also ends with a strict warning to avoid 2 specific extremes of spiritual destruction. The first extreme is having knowledge but refusing to obey, which the text says earns anger. The second extreme is taking action without proper guidance, which leads one astray. So it's this really profound prayer for protection from corruption.
Let's move to our final section and see how this builds into modern impact.
So how does a 1,400-year-old text actually function practically in our fast-paced modern lives? Well, it is far more than just historical literature. It's an active requirement in every single unit of daily prayer. But beyond formal prayer, Muslims recite it during moments of illness, fear, and deep hardship. Scholars actually describe it as a prescribed spiritual medicine. In a modern era that's so heavily burdened by anxiety and spiritual emptiness, reciting these words is utilized as a vital tool to actively reconnect the soul with its creator and bring immense peace to the heart.
When we look at all of this together, it perfectly proves why this chapter is called the mother of the book. Think about the core themes of the entire Quran: Allah's mercy, judgment, worship, and guidance. Every single one of those major, overarching themes of the religion maps perfectly onto these 7 short verses. It is remarkably short in length, yet infinite in meaning, perfectly summarizing an entire faith. To wrap up our explainer today, think about what modern people are really searching for: peace, purpose, direction, and stability. Surah Al-Fatihah answers all of these needs by clearly teaching humans where they came from, exactly why they exist in the first place, and ultimately where they're going. In a world full of shifting truths and endless confusion, it remains this unwavering foundational compass. It's honestly a huge testament to the power of structured, intentional repetition. If just 7 short verses can summarize an entire faith, transform hearts, and provide daily guidance to millions for over 1,400 years, what small, repeated practice could anchor your own search for purpose and meaning? Think about how you start your day and what words you choose to repeat. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this deep dive gave you a profound new perspective on these remarkable 29 words.